It was a bright Saturday morning. The California freeway was alive, buzzing with that special kind of weekend energy. Convertibles with the top down, podcasts playing, and the scent of coffee mixing with the warm air. I was on my way to San Francisco for a client meeting, my Tesla humming along on autopilot. My name is Ethan Cole. I'm a graphic designer. And while the car was handling the driving, my mind was a million miles away, lost in the past. It's been 10 years. 10 years since I last saw my brother, Ryan. He disappeared after a terrible family argument. I won one of those fights that shatters everything. The police eventually closed the case, calling it a voluntary disappearance. But for me, it was a nightmare that just never ended. Every day, a piece of my life was just missing. I was scrolling through a playlist, trying to find something to match the morning, when I saw him. A man walking along the shoulder of the highway, holding up a simple cardboard sign. It just said, "Just need a ride north." At first, I didn't think much of it. It's California. You see hitchhikers? But something about this guy made me slow the car down. Maybe it was the way he stood or the worn-out but clean clothes. His face was mostly hidden by a hoodie and a beard that looked like it had seen a few hard years. On an impulse I couldn't explain, I rolled down the window. "Hey man, where are you headed?" He looked up, squinting against the bright sun. A tired half-smile appeared on his face. "Anywhere that's not here," he said, his voice a little rough. I couldn't help but chuckle at that. I felt that way myself sometimes. "Hop in," I told him, gesturing to the passenger seat. The first few minutes were silent, just the soft hum of the electric motor. The guy seemed calm, but there was a quiet, nervous energy about him. I decided to break the silence. "So," I started, "what's your name?" He hesitated for a beat, just long enough for me to notice. Ryan. The name hit me like a physical blow. I felt my hands grip the steering wheel, my knuckles turning white. Ryan, a name I hadn't said out loud in almost a decade. I forced a smile, my voice feeling thin. That's my brother's name." He just looked out the window at the passing landscape. "Small world," he said, so quietly I almost didn't hear him. An hour later, I pulled into a rest area. The silence had become too heavy. I needed a break, needed to clear my head. I bought 2 iced coffees from a vending machine and walked back to the car, handing one to him. He took it and smiled. "Ah." And that's when I saw it. The same crooked grin I used to make fun of when we were kids. My heart started hammering against my ribs. Then my eyes locked onto a faint, silvery line just above his right eyebrow. A scar. The exact same scar he got the night he crashed his bike when we were 15. My breath caught in my throat. It was impossible. It couldn't be him, could it? My hands were trembling slightly as I tried to sound casual. "Where are you from?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "Used to live in Oregon," he said, taking a sip of his coffee. "Left a lot behind. Trying to start again." The pieces were clicking into place, forming a picture I was terrified to look at. My voice shook. "You ever had family out in Arizona?" He looked up at me then, his eyes wide with a look I hadn't seen in 10 years. He didn't answer right away. The world seemed to stop. Then he whispered one word, a question filled with a decade of pain and hope. "Ethan." The iced coffee slipped from my numb fingers, splashing across the hot pavement. We just stood there, 2 grown men in the middle of a random parking lot under the California sun. And we were hugging, clinging to each other for the first time in a decade. I could feel him shaking, or maybe it was me. People were staring, but in that moment, the rest of the world just faded away. His voice broke, muffled against my shoulder. Wanted to come back, but I thought no one would forgive me. I pulled back, my hands on his shoulders, shaking my head. "You're my brother," I said, my own voice thick with emotion. "That's never going to change." We sat by the car for hours. The client meeting in San Francisco was forgotten. This was more important. He told me everything. How he'd lived off odd jobs, slept in cheap motels, worked delivery apps always on the move, always just one step away from coming home, but never brave enough to take it. I was ashamed, Ryan said, his gaze fixed on the ground. Every year I told myself I'd go back, but I didn't know how to face everyone, how to face you. I put a hand on his shoulder, giving it a squeeze. "You just did." Later, as we got back on the highway, I switched off the autopilot. The first time in what felt like forever, I didn't want to rush. I wanted to be present. I wanted to drive my brother home. I looked over at him and smiled, a real smile this time. "Let's go home." Ryan grinned back, his eyes glassy but peaceful. "Yeah," he said, his voice full of relief. "Let's go home." On the dashboard, between us, lay the small cardboard sign he'd been holding. "Just need a ride north." A few hours ago, it was a stranger's plea. Now, it was a symbol of a miracle. It was the sign that brought my brother back to me. It wasn't just a ride north anymore. It was a ride home. Thank you so much for joining me for this story. If it moved you, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel for more content like this. Truly means the world. See you next time.